All right. Welcome to FAFSA Ready, Set, Go Live, where we help you unlock financial aid to support your college dreams. My name is Katisha Tony, and I am the president and CEO of Coats Inc. And I am excited to bring to you the FAFSA Live sessions. These sessions will take place every Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. throughout the month of August to provide our communities with comprehensive financial support. Whether you need help understanding FAFSA, completing the application, finding scholarship information, or exploring local opportunities and all things financial aid, we've got you covered. We know families often have questions about FAFSA or financial aid packages and may not always know where to turn. Our goal is to eliminate barriers and provide the support you need. So during these sessions, you'll hear from our qualified staff and sometimes from experts in the field of financial aid and FAFSA. For example, earlier today at our 12:30 session, our expert was Miss Gina Pirtle, the Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships at Indiana University Northwest. She was dropping lots of knowledge about FAFSA that everyone needs to hear. And our plan at this time is just recap that conversation, share additional resources, and answer any questions you all may have live and direct to answer you. I'd like to introduce our dedicated FAFSA staff who will be joining us today. We have Lolita Wilson, our college and career coordinator, Shannon Davis, our FAFSA program coordinator, and Melissa Carlos and Zach Diaz, our FAFSA support specialists. So we are really excited to recap the conversation from earlier with you guys. Again, so much information and so much to process and so much to share. Wanted to hear from you all. Like, what did you think about today's session earlier today?
I'm stuck.
I think the session was very informative. I learned a lot of things from the IUN financial aid director about different scholarships and things and money and stuff that is available for the students that I did not know about.
Mm-hmm. I'll say the first thing that resonated with me was the amount of scholarship money that is provided that goes unnoticed. One of the things that I really want to recap is there's an Urban League scholarship. That was one thing that I noticed. There was the Hard Rock is providing the Urban League scholarship that's partnering with IUN. And there is a scholarship. I want to say they said it was 30. Yeah, so it was Do Well by Doing Good scholarship. It opened July 17th, and by September 6th, you have to apply. The only requirements are very minimum, to be honest. You have to become an incoming freshman, so class of 2024. And you also have to have graduated from a Gary, Indiana high school. That's public, private, charter, private, faith-based. It doesn't matter what school you are actually graduating from, but you will be able to apply for that scholarship and be able to get 4 years of full ride tuition. So I think this is something that not a lot of people know about. And we have talked with Dr. V from the Urban League and also with University, just talking about how we can provide some support to them. The main support would be us providing FAFSA support as well as some college application support, just in case you haven't been accepted to IUN, and then also really helping them with the FAFSA as well. And I think those are the things that I learned from them, is that it was just so many people and so much information so many people didn't know about. And that's one thing that resonated with me. It's like a lot of money left on the table, specifically for residents in like Lake County and the Gary, Indiana area.
Yeah, I think that was a big one for me too. Just hearing and knowing that there's so many scholarships that people don't take advantage of, and all you have to do is apply to be able to get those scholarships. So that was a big one. Another one that really resonated to me was a question that I asked about parents who don't have social security number and how are those students able to apply for FAFSA. And she had said that it is a longer process now with the changes in FAFSA, but it is still possible. You just have to go in and talk to someone and get that step-by-step guidance to filling it out.
Yeah. I know that didn't have social security numbers, had a whole bunch of issues with this new FAFSA, but being able to go into the office, I think that was another thing that I noticed. And another thing that I've been pushing people to do is that if you don't have an answer for FAFSA, don't ask your friend, don't ask your parent who hasn't been in school for 10 years or something like that. Go in and actually talk to the financial aid experts. They are there. When we were talking to her, she had so much information that even myself, as someone who I consider myself an expert in terms of FAFSA, and there was a lot of information that I didn't know about, and that I was like, wow, like all of this information is available. And there's a lot of FAFSA jargon, like there's a lot of detail, like a lot of descriptive words that most people don't understand, and it kind of goes over your head. So making sure that you go to the financial aid office, they are there for you to help them. They are there to receive all of your questions and be able to give you any information that you need. So making sure that you go to the financial aid office and get those specific questions answered is really, really important, and getting that extra support, because sometimes people, they just don't know.
And then also, I tell people all the time, even if you're not thinking about going to school, fill out your FAFSA every year, because that could change. Because like she talked about the scholarship for the Emerson area of Gary, the 46404. That's a scholarship that you can get just for staying in that area, and there's really no requirements but for you to be in the Emerson area. So even if you're not thinking about, hey, I don't want to go to school, but you never know, that could change, or a scholarship can come up that you could apply for, and it'll pay for you to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Shannon.
Oh, I would say a couple of things that I learned from the live. Make sure that you apply for the schools that you will be putting on your FAFSA, because what happens is if you don't apply and you're not admitted, then that financial information, the financial aid information, will not pull to that school. So it's very important that when you complete the FAFSA, if you know that these are specific schools that you want to go to, make sure you have applied to them. And once you're admitted into those schools is when they're able to kind of collaborate that information. Another thing I would say is make sure that you have conversations with your parents. I learned something I did not know, that unless you are married with a spouse or have dependent children that you are taking care of, or special circumstances, maybe foster care, that your parents are required to be a part of your FAFSA in terms of being those contributors until age 24. And if not, at times, then you only qualify for loans. So you miss out on the opportunity to have access to those different grants and additional scholarship monies when they do not have your parent, which is considered a contributor now, is the new word that they're using, until age 24, unless there are specific, kind of things going on. And then I would say one of the most important things, kind of piggybacking on, going to the financial aid office and ask them, hey, what do I qualify for? What scholarships are available here for me? So that you can make sure that you're applying for everything that you may actually qualify for. There were a lot of scholarships that our speaker spoke earlier on that no one knows that they may even be eligible for. So please go into your financial aid offices and have those conversations and see if there are additional scholarships that are not tied in with the FAFSA that you also could qualify for through your school.
Yeah, that resonated a lot with me when it came to the scholarship piece. And I think I'm going to add on one more thing that she didn't exactly talk about, which is, again, she talked about applying for scholarships early. But I think the most important thing is when you think about that ACT and SAT importance, she talked about how schools are more in that test optional area. And for those who are listening who might not know the difference between test optional means you don't have to take the SAT or SAT to get into the school. But when we think about getting into the school, that's just one piece. So we already know the other piece is the importance of being able to pay for it and afford it. So if your parents don't have like a 529 plan or have saved all this money to the side for you to be able to go to school, then you can be accepted but not be able to go. I have had lots of students who have said they're going to a school and then they get their financial packages back and that changes because they don't have the financial aid that they need in order to go to the school. And the most important piece is like going back to her saying scholarships and applying very early. Um, the one thing I'll say is that a lot of schools have those very important dates of like October 1st and November 1st are normally those dates where any academic merit scholarships are due. I know a lot of Indiana specific schools and really nationally, that October 1 deadline are those school specific scholarships. So when you're applying, you can automatically qualify for a lot of their academic merit scholarships. And academic merit means having a certain GPA. So they might say you need a 3.8 GPA and you need this certain ACT or SAT score. That's going to give you additional merit scholarships, where those are the ones that are getting $20,000, $30,000, and $40,000 scholarships because they are applying before the October 1st deadline or even the November 1st deadline. Once those pass, then you no longer, have as much money. And they don't change those deadlines. Those are deadlines that are there for the school, and they don't shift it. And so if you miss those deadlines, then you're only getting whatever the FAFSA shows. So obviously completing the FAFSA and making sure that you're doing it for that October 1st deadline and November 1st deadline, and the importance of getting a high ACT and a high SAT score is actually still going to give you a lot of additional financial aid as well when you complete that FAFSA. So those were things that resonated with me in that conversation earlier too.
And I want to piggyback off of that. And when we're talking about FAFSA, as far as filling out your FAFSA in Indiana, for you to get the most money from Indiana, the grant money, you should have that FAFSA filled out by April 15th. That's how you get the most money. After that, you can still fill out a FAFSA, but depending on how much money is left, that's how much money you will receive. So always remember April 15th for Indiana as far as the most financial aid money that you can possibly get.
Mm-hmm. And then I'll also say, I'm going to go back to that too, is that April 15th is that deadline, but also understanding that money is still available. You will not get the most amount of money. That goes back to like being like the early bird gets the worm, get to the money, like you want to do that by doing that early. But even if you decide later on down the line, for those who maybe thought they didn't want to go to school, and even right now, if you're saying, hey, I want to go back to school, obviously we are here to help you complete your FAFSA, and you can still apply, but understand the money is going to be a little more limited in terms of where you can go and how much money is available, unless you're learning about different things like I'll highlight like Ivy Tech has the next level jobs where they're paying for free tuition for certifications and 2-year programs. All you have to do is complete the FAFSA. And so even if you miss that April 15th deadline, I believe it'll still cover the most of your tuition to do programs like that. But again, finding that information and making sure you know what's available, I think is the most important piece when you're thinking about financial aid and how can you be more prepared and prepare yourself more for financial aid. And I know, Zach, you weren't on the call earlier, but I want to kind of bring you in. I know you just graduated from Indiana University, Bloomington. Shout out to the Hoosiers. But I did want to kind of hear from you, like, what has been your experience with FAFSA?
My experience with FAFSA, like you guys said, I've been always applying the earliest just so I can capitalize on benefits. Mind you, me doing FAFSA allowed me to apply for the groups program as well. That's one of the things they ask for when you're applying for the groups program, which is something we can talk about later. But yeah, FAFSA for me has been pretty solid. I'll say like one thing I wish I knew when like applying to FAFSA is like being very, very thorough with the financial details. Yeah, because like if you mess up on like one thing, it can like screw everything up that you have in your FAFSA, and you really don't want that because then you have to deal with the financial aid office, and at times they can barely get back to you because how busy it be.
Mm-hmm. Or you get stuck in what they call it, the verification process. That verification process can be like a real pain in the butt if you don't put that stuff in right, and then you submit your FAFSA, then you're dealing with the fact of having to like redo the FAFSA again, or wait till it processes, and then it could take a week or two for it to process, which means again it could affect if you, especially if you waited to closer to the April 15th deadline, then now you might be behind because you submitted and then now you have to resubmit. So you don't want to have to go through that process of kind of making any mistakes, and just making sure that you and your parent or contributor is what they're calling it now, puts that information in right the first time, because you don't want to have to go through doing that again. One other question I wanted to ask you, Zach, is did you receive any scholarships or grants as a result of completing the FAFSA?
I received the I apologize if I say it wrong, but the Bill O'Garrett grant. I believe that's what it was. It's a grant just for not having for the. I don't really remember, but yeah, I did receive some grants. I don't remember the names of the grants in particular.
Okay. And you said you got groups, right? You got the
Yeah,
groups.
groups.
And do you have to complete the FAFSA in order to get the groups scholarship?
Yes, you have to complete FAFSA in order to get the groups. So groups is for like lower income families. So like pretty much if your EFC is like closer to 0 or around that area, you'll be able to attend groups. And pretty much what that enables you to do is to get like a full ride scholarship to Indiana University, or now any Indiana school, Indiana University school in the state of Indiana. So yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, FAFSA is pretty a pretty major point for that.
Okay. Because I know if you don't complete it by a certain time, myself and Lolita are both groups recommenders. So we know that if you don't complete that FAFSA, that could possibly eliminate you from being able to even be in the groups program, because they're going to be looking at your need to see how much you qualify for. So just making sure that you do that as well is really important. Any other fun facts from our conversation earlier today that anybody might want to share?
I want to highlight to still fill out the FAFSA, even though if it's past the April 15th mark, because although it would be a lower amount of how much money you might be able to get, it's still very important to fill it out and see how much you can get. And so I just wanted to highlight that, to still fill it out, even if it's after the April 15th deadline.
Mm-hmm. And I just can't help but keep reiterating the fact that don't leave the money on the table. Mm-hmm. I think that if I learned anything out this conversation earlier with Ms. Purtle, there is lots of scholarship money available, especially if you're deciding to go local. We're talking about IUN because they were here, but like when you think of Purdue, when you think about Ivy Tech, Purdue Northwest, like that are local schools, there's a lot of local money that's available, making sure you understand that. And I think it's one thing that, going back to what you said earlier, Lolita, around the what is it, the Emerson
scholarship.
If you have a zip code of 46404, you are able to qualify for that scholarship money. You don't have to apply for it, but it is available and there for you. So making sure that or if you know anyone who is going to school, and I don't know if she actually said, is it adults too, or is it does it have to be direct students? That's what I don't think we clarified that question. I'll have to figure that out. But I know that anyone in the 46404 zip code is going to be able to get that money for free, like be able to go to school for free. And I think that's something that like we need to make sure we know. I don't know if people know about that, but the Emerson grant, if you're going to IUN, you might have to call the financial aid office, just like I said, to get some clarity on that conversation or what the actual stipulations are. But I believe it could be adults as well. Anyone, I believe, who's in the 46404 zip code should be able to get that money. And also asking those who else are in the Emerson zone, maybe it's more than just 46404. Maybe it's, trying to push the fact that like you are in that zone as well, and seeing if you might be able to qualify for some of that aid as well. Because I know she said that they don't utilize it. So maybe asking to see if you can get that additional information is going to be good too, or get that additional scholarship. Same thing for the Urban League scholarship. It seems like one thing she did note, and I want to put out there too, a thing to recap, is if you already are a 21st century scholar, you can't qualify for both. Is that what she said? Do y'all remember if she said that?
Yes. And the scholarship is only tuition only for the Urban League.
Yeah.
It's tuition only. So that kind of knocks out every, you know, if you have 21st century or if you are in groups, you will not qualify for that scholarship.
Yeah. So if you're in groups, if you're a 21st century scholar, you don't qualify. But if you don't have any of those, and you still have some need, even those who had a small need, I think you referenced a student earlier, Lolita, around like she was offered like $375
Yeah,
a
please.
semester. So that's a
Yeah.
small amount. So being able to go and apply for that as well is really important too. So making sure that you do that as well. That was one thing that I just wanted to make sure I noted as well.
And then the thing too is a lot of people be like, oh, it's no opportunity, or I can't pay for college. The whole thing is to get with a company like Code Sync and get out there and do research, because there is money for you to go to school. You just have to take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you. And I think that's what the problem is a lot of people don't think that it's money out there, but it's so much money. It's money, like you said, left on the table. They want people to come get the money. We're just not going to get it.
Mm-hmm. And then also, like, I would say this as parents, like, get the information and also like hold your students accountable. Because again, as Lolita just said, there's a lot of money on the table, but even in the work that we have seen, you know, we have done, people don't always take advantage of it. So when we're giving you resources, you also have to take advantage of it. So like we can give you the information, you know, it's like we can lead you to water, we can't make you swim, you know, like, so get this information and actually take advantage of what you're seeing, and also have people. We are here to like help and support. Not only are we here to support, you have the universities who want you to come, you know, like, so they're going to provide as much information as possible for you to be able to, you know, receive this scholarship money. So we're here to complete that FAFSA and help you complete the FAFSA and help you gain as much information as possible. I asked you one last question too, Lolita. What has been some issues with students, you know, like getting the scholarships or filling out the FAFSA? What have you come into play with as you've been working with students?
With scholarships, the issue is they don't want to put in the work to get the scholarships. They don't want to write the essays and things like that. I'm on them all the time. It's like, did you fill out this? Did you fill out for this scholarship? Did you? Oh, I'm gonna do it, Miss Wilson. I'm like, if you really want to go to school, you have to put in the work. So if somebody is willing to pay for you to go to college and all you have to do is write an essay or get some letters of recommendation, that's a small price to pay for a college education. So that's one of the issues that I have. And then with the FAFSA, you have some parents who don't want to fill out the FAFSA because they don't want to give their information. But if you do the FAFSA, that's the only way your kid can go to college is if they fill out that FAFSA application. And if you put in your information, it doesn't affect anything that you have going on. It's just going to help your child pay for college. And at the end of the day, we want our kids to do better than what we did.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's also a big misconception, is that when you put your information in, then it's going to affect any, you know, aid you're receiving or anything like that. It does not affect that. They're really just looking at your income and just seeing how much you make and how much money they can provide your student. And I also am going to highlight one thing also that Ms. Purtle talked about, is how quick and easy the FAFSA is now. So if you complete the FAFSA can be done in 30 minutes at this point. Like, you don't have to go through the thing of like writing a paper application. You don't have to really do too much of looking at your past taxes. Everything is pulling from the IRS. So all you have to do is pretty much put your social security number in, address, and some basic information, and you'll be able to complete the FAFSA. It doesn't take as long as it used to, and it doesn't affect any resources that you receive on your own as well.
And when I did my FAFSA, I don't even think it took 30 minutes. It's so much simpler than it used to be. You go and you put your information in, and I probably was finished in like 15 to 20 minutes. So it's much simpler.
And then also, I mean, we are here to provide that support. If you go to our website, you'll be able to see the different places that will be to provide that support. And we also will be having that one-to-one support as well, where you can go to our website and schedule some separate time with us. And I also want to kind of highlight Melissa right now is we are in a place where we're going to be providing bilingual support as well. So even if you are Spanish speaking and you have family or your parents may not speak English well, Melissa is going to be there to provide that bilingual support and be able to help you and your families kind of understand that process. And I'm going to kind of lean on you really quickly, Melissa, on kind of like talking about why this bilingual support is so important for our communities.
Yeah, so this bilingual support is extremely important because a lot of times you don't have anyone to explain to you what that FAFSA is. I'm going to talk about my experience a little bit. When I first filled out the FAFSA, I'm a first generation college student, and my parents had no idea what it was. I leaned on my cousins who they had already filled out the FAFSA, so they were able to explain to my mom what FAFSA was, that that all the information that she was going to give wasn't going to affect her in any way. And so it's really important to be able to give that to the bilingual families, like the support to understand what FAFSA is. Because for me, if it wasn't for my cousins, then my parents and myself wouldn't know where to go, and my journey in filling out the FAFSA wouldn't have gone as smoothly as it went. And so that's why I think it's extremely important to kind of give out that support to bilingual families so that they can have a smooth time filling out the FAFSA and understand it to the fullest.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. I just wanted to make sure that we highlight that, because in my work, I've seen that we've needed to have that important time, like making sure that we are equitable in all the supports that we're providing. So I wanted to make sure I highlighted that support that we have as well. Anything else anyone wanted to highlight from today's conversation?
I just want to highlight us as well, just knowing that Coast Inc., this is a free service. And I think a lot of people, and even as we've been out in the community and sometimes speaking with the students just from various schools, counselors sometimes are overwhelmed. Right? So many students, and trying to make sure that they're meeting everyone's needs and helping everyone try to figure out a path. So with Coach Inc., this is a completely free service. We are offering you free resources because we just really want to help you and make sure that you succeed. So I did want to just kind of point that out there as well.
Thank you. That's really important to point out, that we are providing these services for free. And I mean, we know it's a need. We know it's a need. Everybody on this live right now is here to support and make sure that we're meeting people where they are and providing as much support as possible. So thank you for highlighting that.
Oh, and I have one more thing for students. What I did when I was filling out scholarships, and I'm having to rethink this, and I won't tell my age, but I wrote about 3 different essays. And somewhat tailored them, and that's what I utilize for my scholarship. So don't think that you have to like reinvent the wheel each time for every scholarship essay. Kind of get you about 3 general ones, because sometimes some will ask you about volunteer experience. Some may ask you about activities that you participated in school. Some may ask you about both. So maybe just take some time, write those 3 essays, about yourself, what your goals are, things that you've accomplished throughout your 4 years, why you think you deserve this scholarship. Pretty much all the scholarships almost ask generally around the same questions and things, and just really have those 3 templates for yourself to be able to utilize, and it'll make the scholarship process a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. I love that you said that, because that is important, having those, couple of drafted essays in place. And I think the other important piece for that is to also like leverage your resources. So most times, if you're a junior who's entering your senior year, a lot of times in your English class, they're going to help you do what they call the personal statement. That personal statement is going to help you tailor your different essays to your scholarships. And if you don't have that resource within your school, ask your English teacher. Can you do some additional time after school during lunch hour to get your essay completed, or even a trusted adult who can help you kind of tweak that essay? We also have our college and career mobile office. So we also ride around to different places. We help with that as well. And I also say that like we also bring other people like to ride along with us and kind of help out with details about what they're looking for in essays. Like we've had the Legacy Foundation come in and kind of talk to us about what they're looking for in the essays that they're requiring students to fill out in order to get their scholarships. Just making sure you utilize your resources, especially as you're thinking about filling out for scholarships and writing those essays. So use your resources. They are there, and there's a lot of people who want to help. You just have to ask, and also have to put the time in to get that done.
And also with the Legacy Foundation, they have over maybe 60 or 70 scholarships. You only have to fill out one application, and that one application to kind of sort through, and it pretty much puts you in the running for what scholarship that you can get based off of your essay. Some of them is like you stay in Lake County, you go to a Gary school, you go to a charter school. It's one application. They kind of filter through that to see which scholarship you are qualified for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots and lots of really good information. But thanks for recapping with us. So hopefully you gained some new info. And whatever you learn, share with someone else. So I know we kind of recap what we talked about earlier today, but remember, we will be doing these live sessions every Tuesday during the month of August at 12:30 and also at 6:30. Another thing to note is that we also have one-on-one sessions available for anyone needing direct FAFSA support. We also talked about this. We have bilingual support for some of those days as well. So if you need that, just make sure you note that you need bilingual support, and we'll make sure we have Melissa there to join you on a one-to-one time. Also, all you have to do is go to our website at www.coatesinc.org and find our FAFSA page and schedule a one-on-one time with us. In addition, that page is also full of FAFSA resources and details that we are updating all the time. So share our page, share our resources, and follow us on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank y'all, and see you next week on FAFSA Ready, Set, Go, where we spend Tuesday talking to experts on all things FAFSA and financial aid. So see you guys later.